As a young car enthusiast, I'm constantly looking for a car that checks all the right boxes. It needs to be fast, it needs to be fun, it needs to be stylish, but above all, it needs to be practical. Remember, this is your only car. Now, because of those needs, a hot hatch has comfortably been the vehicle that I would recommend to those of you looking for that new car. And the Civic Type R has been the king of the hot hatch segment for the last 3 years. However, there's one big problem with the Type R, and that's its looks. This particular one here belongs to my camera guy, Rob, and he can't go a day driving this thing without somebody asking him, Rob, when are you going to grow up?
Never.
Now, for those of you who want to keep driving a hot hatch but want something a little bit more classy, a little bit more elegant looking, Mercedes-AMG has the perfect vehicle for you. And this is the all-new 2020 CLA 35, the newest member of the CLA family. It has 302 horsepower from a turbocharged engine. It has 4MATIC all-wheel drive. It has a dual clutch transmission. And unlike the Type R, it has a really snazzy, elegant, expensive look that will have nobody questioning when you are going to grow up. So the big question I want to answer, if you guys are looking to buy a hot hatch that is more suited to your adult lifestyle, how does the new CLA 35 AMG stack up? That's what we're here to find out. So trying to compare the CLA 35 AMG to a hot hatch sounds pretty silly, but since I just drove the 2020 Civic Type R, that vehicle is still pretty fresh in my mind. The last time I drove a CLA 35 was actually just at the end of 2019 where I was in Phoenix or Scottsdale doing the media drive. So now that I have the car for testing in my home area, I can get a better feel for this thing and how it rides, how it handles, how it accelerates. And I can tell you one thing, they've really improved the CLA 35 significantly, and just a short drive and you'll quickly notice the differences. Now, of course, the CLA 35 is the new AMG Light series, so this does not have a hand-built engine like the 45. It just basically has the boost turned up on the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But the design of this car is instantly recognizable as a CLA, and that's what I really like about the CLA in general. I think that they've really improved the look of this thing, especially this one here. It's painted in this bright shade of sun yellow. All right, so maybe it's not quite a hot hatch. In fact, Mercedes likes to call this thing a coupe. Looks more like a 4-door sedan to me, but regardless of whatever body style you think this CLA is, you can't deny how elegant and stylish and classy the new CLA looks. In fact, when I first saw this thing, this is the all-new second generation, I thought it literally just looks like the CLS, the big brother to this car. Mercedes really did a great job with the overall design of this thing. I love the fact that, they have this swooping rear roofline area. The rear end has this kind of nice tailored look to it with these full LED taillights. The exhaust is also nicely integrated into the rear with this tasteful diffuser at the back. This sun yellow exterior color is actually a free color. Mercedes usually charges extra for everything. But compared to the A-Class sedan, which this shares a platform with, the CLA really does look a lot better. Now, of course, keep in mind, this is the 35 model, which is a new entry this year. There's also a CLA 45 above this model that has roughly 80 more horsepower here in America. So I'll be driving that one later this year, but this is kind of more like the Goldilocks model between the 3 different CLA models. Now, of course, this being a sedan, this is longer than a lot of traditional hot hatches. It stretches around 185 inches long, so compared to like a hot hatch like a Golf R or a Type R, this is between 5 to 10 inches longer, which gives this thing really nice proportions. I mean, the panoramic roof that you see here is standard. Good luck trying to find that on a hot hatch model. The doors and all 4 of the doors you can see have kind of a pillarless design, which kind of gives this thing a much more elegant look to it. And the interior, which we'll come into in just a moment, is worth, or makes this thing easily worth the extra $10,000, $20,000 that you're gonna pay for something like this. Now, following me over to the front of this thing, you can see the traditional Mercedes look is here, and I really think that they did a really fantastic job with the overall front end. You can see these full LED headlights are standard on the CLA. These are the upgraded adaptive LED headlights with an LED daytime running light and turn signals. The AMG model also includes things like this unique grille over here. This night package that my tester has also blacks out some of the lower accents. And keep in mind, the 45 model has the unique Pan America style grille with the vertical chrome slats. It makes this car look even more aggressive, but what's crazy to me is despite how wide this car is, something like the Civic Type R is still 1.5 inches wider. So I think Mercedes could have made this thing look a little bit lower and meaner in that way, but I think that's why the 45 is in the lineup. So whether you love or hate the color, you can't deny just how premium, how sophisticated, how elegant this car looks, especially if you're coming from something like a hot hatch, like a WRX STI, or which is a sedan, or a Civic Type R. This car just screams like upgrade. And that's kind of where I was thinking about how, you know, a lot of people who own a hot hatch, eventually, you know, you get a better job, you get a more stable career, you make more money, you want something that offers the same kind of thrills. And with 302 horsepower on tap, 295 pound-feet of torque, and a sound that actually sounds decent. So Mercedes-AMG is very much well known for their immersive sounds, and let's see if this baby AMG lives up to that. There's a reason why you want to go for the 45 model. It has some pops and crackles from the exhaust, but this doesn't have the kind of chainsaw or gargling chainsaw noise that you get from the exhaust on other AMG products. There's the slight pop there. Now, another reminder that you bought yourself a premium car is when you lift up the hood. Unlike most hot hatches, which have a prop rod, this is held up by a strut. And some of you who are more traditional Mercedes-Benz enthusiasts might find this to be sacrilege because the engine, as you can see, is mounted transversely. The CLA and the A-Class is all a 4-cylinder engine lineup. This is the Goldilocks engine, the middle engine. It's a 2-liter turbocharged direct injection 4-cylinder that's AMG enhanced. It's not a full-fledged AMG model because it's not a hand-built engine like it is in the CLA 45. In the 35, it makes 302 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers are a little bit more than what you get in something like an Audi S3, and it matches the numbers that you also get in a BMW M235i Grand Coupe, which I'll also be driving next month, and I should be able to compare these two cars head-to-head. Now, you can see here for the AMG version, they also added this strut tower bar right here to kind of stiffen up the front end. It all goes out through a standard 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. Keep in mind, the 45 model, which has 80 more horsepower, has an 8-speed dual clutch, so an extra gear. All of these AMG models are 4MATIC all-wheel drive, which also includes a launch control. Mercedes-AMG says you'll get to 60 in around 4.7 seconds for this model. And fuel economy, it's actually not too bad. It's rated at 23 in the city and 29 on the highway. Please be sure to put premium gas in this thing. Now, Mercedes-AMG says this 35 model will get to 60 in around 4.8 seconds, 4.7 seconds. It feels just about right. There is a noticeable amount of lag on this car, which I didn't really notice when I first drove this car in Arizona at the end of last year. But I imagine the lag will go away when you actually try the Race Start, which is the launch control function. Keep in mind, if this is not enough power for you, the 45 offers an additional 80 horsepower, and it should shave off the 0 to 60 time to be just around 4 seconds. Now, to engage the Race Start, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is just hit the stability control off button, make sure it's in Sport Plus, floor the brake and the accelerator, let the revs build up. And as you can see, the lag kind of disappears on this car, and it actually has a little bit of wheel spin. You heard the tires chirp slightly there. The transmission also shifts rather abruptly too when you have it in the Race Start mode, which kind of surprised me. I wonder if the new 8-speed dual clutch in the 45 shifts a little bit smoother. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get a manual in this car like you can in a hot hatch that you're coming out from. But compare this to an Audi S3, which has a 7-speed dual clutch, or the BMW M235i Grand Coupe, which I'll be driving next month, and I'll be comparing it to this car as well, which has an 8-speed conventional torque converter automatic. And obviously, this is what you expect for in the norm. So this is a Mercedes, and they build expensive cars. The previous generation CLA wasn't really all that nice on the inside. However, this new version, as you can see, Has the same style interior that we've seen in some of the way more expensive models like the S-Class, the E-Class, of course. This one here has a couple of upgrades to it. The first thing you're going to notice, the seats, they are $3,000, $3,400 extra. They're the Sport AMG racing seats, and they are definitely a little bit on the firmer side. I would recommend trying the seats out first before you pick these because I don't find them to be particularly comfortable. They are heated and cooled. That's an extra $1,100, of course. Let me shut the door. It has a nice solid thunk to it, which is what you expect from a German car. And as you can see, it's about 7:38 at night here, and it's starting to get a little bit dark, and the interior lighting in here, whew, it just looks super fancy. It's like a nightclub in here. You can change this lighting to so many different colors if you'd like. Even the dash vents, as you can see, have some nice lighting over there. The seat controls are all on the doors over here, just like other Mercedes vehicles. You have 3-person memory. You have cooled and heated seats, which you can turn on both at the same time. These are $1,100 extra. The doors, or the door panel, has this nice stitching over here. This is like the MB Tech stitching. It's on this part as well. It's hard touch plastic down here, but you've got genuine aluminum trim. The stitching kind of continues through the upper part of the dash. This is a soft touch injection molded plastic. There's some piano black plastic trim over here. There's a wireless phone charger there. As you can see, there is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is nice. It is included, of course, with the MBUX, which gives you the ability to tell this thing to basically say, when you say something like, "Hey Mercedes," and of course it's not working right now, "Hey Mercedes." She'll probably interrupt me later on in the video when I'm driving this car. It's bloody annoying. There's a wireless phone charger over here, but that is optional. You've got dual zone climate control. All the knobs and the controls here all feel really high quality. That's what you expect. You can control this via a touchscreen, of course, or you can also use the pad, or there's 2 touch pads on the steering wheel. I've shown you guys this interior before. It still looks very impressive. I really think that this is kind of the best in the industry in terms of luxury, tech, and features, and they give it to you even on the base model. What I don't like about this car is there's no home link system. It's actually an extra $250 here where they'll change out this mirror. I think that they should have included that at this price point. You have to use a USB-C to actually plug in your phone. It's one of the first cars, of course, to implement the newer system. The drive mode selector is over here. Mercedes will also give you one that is integrated into the steering wheel if you get the $400 AMG drive unit, but as you can see here, you can switch between Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, Individual. You can hear the exhaust gets a little bit louder in Sport Plus. You can also go to an AMG performance page here, and you can show your engine torque output, your vehicle information, consumption, fuel economy information, stuff like that. So all this is pretty cool. I also have the display kind of showing over here on the instrument panel, which you can also customize this display if you'd like. So many ways that you can kind of adjust things. My tester also has the energizing comfort package, which if you go here to comfort, I would probably skip this because it kind of offers like this little massage feature, but it's not really a massage. It just adjusts the bolsters and the seats every like couple of seconds to reduce fatigue, which I find to be completely useless. I never actually turned it on. Energizing comfort gives you all these different modes where you can, you know, get this like refresh, this training, vitality. It changes the climate control system, adjusts the lighting in here, play some soothing music. So it's all pretty cool, but I would probably skip this because it's a pricey $2,000. What I wouldn't skip, however, is this 360 camera. I love the 360 camera. It also comes with park trajectory, automatic parallel parking, which is nice. And then you push it forward, you can see the camera quality is excellent, which is good. The navigation system in this car also has the augmented reality GPS, which is really cool. I've shown you guys that before on other Mercedes-Benz products, so this is all very familiar. What I don't like about the 10.25-inch display, which by the way, this is optional, part of the navigation package. I don't like how the CarPlay doesn't take up the whole screen like you do have in some other cars, and they don't offer the wireless CarPlay on the smaller 12 or 10.25-inch screen like they do on some of the bigger Mercedes products, which would be nice to have. More controls here for your stability control system, your manual mode here for your transmission. This controls, of course, the 7-speed dual clutch. You have this padded area here for the armrest, and of course a nice little storage cubby over there. The glove compartment, as you can see, it's pretty big. It's damped but not lined with felt, and then this pano roof is actually standard, which is a really nice addition. The back seats, as you can see on this car, are relatively small. They have around 34 inches of legroom back here, which is a little bit less than what you're going to get in some of those mainstream compact sedans or hot hatches. So this interior obviously looks $10,000 more expensive easily than something like a Civic Type R or a Volkswagen Golf R, but you should know that there's not very much value played in here, and it does cost extra for a lot of things. The option box that I would tick, however, is the Burmester upgraded sound system for $850. It sounds incredible, and it reminds you why Mercedes does some of the best interiors in the business. What Mercedes-AMG really did improve, however, with this car is the ride quality. For example, I can push this bumpy suspension button over here, and I can put it into comfort right here. The shocks, the dampers are in comfort. And when you spec that option for it, of course, the suspension actually gets relatively smooth. That's something that the old generation CLA couldn't do. It always had a very bumpy ride, which was really annoying when you were trying to daily drive this thing. It didn't really feel like it was appropriate for a luxury car. This now finally has a ride quality that's agreeable. I just don't really like these seats. I would get the standard seats. The steering also is very communicative, and it just transmits a lot of road feel and feedback. It has a very smooth ride, as I said. The noise, however, there is just a fair amount of road noise in this car, which is probably what I find the most disappointing. I wish the road noise was better controlled. I think it needs to be a little bit quieter in that regard. Now, the one thing about this transmission, in manual mode, it still will upshift for me automatically, which I don't particularly like. I wish that it would just stay in manual and bounce off the rev limiter, so keep that in mind if you guys are playing with the paddles. They do respond quite nicely, however, and you heard that little pop crackle. That's a really nice sound. Yeah, this thing definitely is a lot of fun. I mean, it's unlike other AMG models, which can get a little scary, this is very approachable. It won't freak you out if you're not used to driving something so quick. It seriously gets me excited to drive the 45 version, because that's the one that is the one that I see as the real replacement to the old CLA 45, the previous generation. But as an AMG light model, you do get some of the AMG characteristics that you expect from this company. And it goes head-to-head well with its BMW and Audi counterparts. I just find this particular one here, with all the options it has, to be extremely pricey. So I would have to be really restrained with the options, because this one here, fully loaded at 65 grand, is CLA 45 money or base C63 AMG money. So as a grown-up hot hatch, the CLA 35 does a lot of things well, and I think Mercedes did a really good job improving on the first generation model, which just had a lot of compromises for my taste. Now, like a hot hatch, it is very fun, it's very sporty, it handles extremely well, but unlike most hot hatches, it has a look that really exudes elegance. This is a Mercedes-Benz product, and as you guys know with the Mercedes-Benz product, they have a high reputation for building cars that are just stylish and fun, and really, the 35 model is an interesting addition. I like the fact that it's kind of the Goldilocks, because the 45, the old one, tended to be a little too bonkers for a lot of people. This is a lot more livable, it's a lot more civilized, it has just the right amount of power for most people, but it also gets me excited to drive the 45, really, where the CLA Its biggest improvement is now in the ride quality, its interior furnishings with the technology, and of course the luxury aspects and the looks. I love the way this thing looks like the old CLA, but it's just much more refined, especially painted in this sun yellow exterior color. I think it just really works. Really, my biggest problem with the CLA 35 is the price, because this one here stickers for an outrageous $65,760. 65 grand for a car that only has 302 horsepower. I would pay that for the 45 model, which has 382 horsepower. Now, keep in mind, this car starts at $46,900. That's roughly about $10,000 more than something like a Civic Type R behind me. Now, of course, with Mercedes, there's a lot of options to choose from, and this one has a crap ton of options. In fact, the window sticker is right here, and it has roughly $20,000 worth of options, but right off the bat, I would take away those performance seats for $3,400. I'd also take away the Energizer Comfort Package for $2,000, which throws in the massaging seats and the Burmester sound system. I would add it back in as an a la carte option because the Burmester sound system is good. So really, in theory, you could get this car for around high $50,000 range, like 55, 56,000, which is still expensive, but for 65, I would demand to pay that for the CLA 45, which starts at around 55 grand. So you could pay that, and that car, I believe, has the right amount of power. But really, the CLA just feels every bit like the grown-up hot hatch that you're looking for. And if you can swing the extra cost, this is a car that should definitely make it to the very top of your list. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2020 Mercedes-AMG CLA 35. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.